Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. So, something has been on my mind for the last couple of days, and I've been wondering about where Australia is going and why it seems like our politicians, federal, state, seem to be so blatantly evil and gutless, cannot make a sensible decision. Been looking at what's happening in the United States. It seems like there is a complete turnaround. And yet here in Australia, we do not have any politicians that would stand up for what is right, stand up for common sense, stand up for righteousness, stand up for morals, let alone forget biblical righteousness. Just that's completely out the door. Want to give a thanks to Brian from Men of Faith Ministry for sending me this email that Family First have been putting out, and just looking at some of the things that they are trying to do and that they are reporting on. And like I said, when it comes to our politicians, we're in a bad way, I think, here in Australia. But let's have a look first at what Donald Trump's doing. Okay, so Donald Trump's been president for a couple of weeks now, and yet the change in the United States has been remarkable. Trump is not only reshaping the United States government, but it's also seems to be remaking the world. He's pitched plans to redraw the map of the world from Greenland all the way to Gaza. You know, he makes these like outlandish statements, says, "Oh, we're going to do this," but really he's just trying to get a deal out of someone. He's trying to get a rise and see, hey, they're going to come to the party. Puts the expectations right up high, and then they say, "Well, we can't do that." So and in the end, it just gets to make a deal, which is what he's all about, I suppose. But so he's pitched plans to, redraw the map of the world from Greenland to Gaza. No matter what you think, it's pretty intelligent, pretty good what he's done there. Trump has ordered the declassification of files related to the assassination of President Kennedy. He's also, in his first week of office, he signed a heap of executive orders enacting conservative agenda, quickly fulfilling his campaign promises with several immigration-related executive orders. He's ended DEI programs, that's diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and orders related to the economy and energy production. Among some other things, the president's also withdrew from the landmark Paris Agreement, which I personally think we should have nothing to do with either. Things that he's signed off on with executive orders, these had the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive orders, actions, and memoranda, a regulatory freeze preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of the government, which, mate, we could do with a bit of that here. A freeze on all federal hiring, except in the military and a number of other excluded categories. Couldn't we do with some of that here? Federal labor constantly, job numbers go up because they're just hiring bureaucrats all the time. So a requirement also, this is Trump, a requirement also that federal workers return to full-time in-person work. He's directed agencies to address America's cost of living crisis, like I said, withdrawn from the Paris Agreement, and informing the United Nations of the US's withdrawal from the landmark climate treaty. A directive to the federal government ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech going forward. He's doing that. Here in Queensland, we have our premier putting gag orders on politicians. So he's stifling free speech even with his own party. So he's also put forward a direction to the federal government ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration. The president also signed an executive order that could significantly curtail transgender rights, which is something that was raised its ugly head here again in Queensland, where we've had medical centre up north it seems giving medication to children without their parents' knowledge. Uh, so he's also, in one executive order, Trump said his administration will use clear and accurate language and policies that recognize women are biologically female and men are biologically male. It is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. The executive order said these sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality. But instead, what do we have here in Queensland? Remember, under the last government, that Fentiman said, well, if you say you're a woman, if you can be a 6'2", 100 kilo man who can bench press 100 kilos, but if you say that you're a woman, well, then you're a woman. Because Shannon Fentiman can't say anything anyway. The president also signed an executive order gutting federal programs aimed at improving DEI in the workplace, describing them as wasteful, illegal, and immoral. Also, the US government funding for abortions overseas has been halted in one of Donald Trump's first acts as president. The executive order signed by the president on 24th of January reversed Biden's administrative support for organizations that promote or conduct abortions as a method of family planning outside the US. At the same time, Trump also signed an order scrapping the use of taxpayers' money to pay for abortions on demand nationwide and rescinding the recategorization of the procedure as health care. Health care. I'm sick of hearing that term when it comes to abortions. Meanwhile, in Australia, we seem to have lost our way. Our politicians have no idea. No idea. Like I said, no idea how to stand for anything moral, no idea how to stand for righteousness. And it would seem that the Liberal National Party, the LNPs, mate, they have lost the plot as well, with unfortunately Dutton at the helm. So and Labor's so delusional that they view the killing of the unborn up to birth as a human right. You've got abortion extremists like in the Albanese government, such as women's minister Katie Gallagher, are calling on pro-life senators Matt Canavan and Alec Antic to drop their human rights Child Born Alive Protection Bill 2022, which would require this bill, if it was passed, would require medical practitioners to provide treatment to babies born alive as a result of an abortion attempt. Now you would think that would be a no-brainer. The woman has decided she wants an abortion, a late-term abortion. They've attempted this abortion. The baby is born still, and the baby is still alive. It's come out. The baby is still alive. That is a human being laying on the table, and yet we need a bill passed to force medical practitioners, people who've gone to medical school, to say, hey, that's a child right there. You need to actually take care of the child, not just let the child die. This is where we are in Australia. So despite overwhelming medical evidence and first-hand testimony from midwives that babies are routinely surviving late-term abortions and being left to die, Gallagher, women's minister Gallagher, she wants the Born Alive bill buried, and she says it is dangerous. Well, it is dangerous. It's dangerous for the baby if you don't pass it. Anyway, so in a report that came out, so the Australian Financial Review has confirmed that there was a leak from the LNP reporting comments that Dutton has made. Dutton's made the point that while abortion was an issue in the state election, it was not something that they could address, that we could address, he says, in the federal parliament, which is a load of bullcrap. And he says, goes on to say that attempts by Labor to draw us off in that area should be seen as exactly what they are, a distraction. So the desire to save unborn children from just being allowed to die on the table, that's a distraction. It is the federal government that forces all Australians to fund abortion through our Medicare levies, and it regulates the human pesticide RU486, Romeo Uniform 486 pesticide that they use for abortions. Now it's the most common chemical for killing unborn babies. 5% of women who take the abortion drug suffer complications, some of which are life-threatening, but hey, we don't care about the babies. Who cares about the women as well? It's unspeakably sad that the coalition views the killing of unborn babies and the coercion of women by men to do so as a distraction. Peter Dutton also said, in a story that's appeared in the Sydney Morning Herald, it's been reported that Dutton has given his MP strict instructions not to fight for the rights of children and girls against radical LGBTIQ plus blah 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 political agendas. So the Sydney Morning Herald's reporting that he sent a sharp message about culture wars to his party room at a time when some of the Liberal Party's deepest conservatives are trying to start fights over questions such as transgender rights and freedom of speech. So he wants to also, I think he did actually, gag the party room. Can't have anyone talking about these things. So what else? So in his opening remarks to the weekly gathering of the Liberals and Nationals, once the photographers were escorted from the room and the private talks began, the opposition leader told his colleagues that the coalition was campaigning on the cost of living and could not be distracted by anything else. It's just a distraction. Unborn babies dying on the tables, just a distraction, people. We are a nation that has forgotten how to stand for righteousness. We are a nation that has embraced every lie, every sinful depravity that evil can inspire inside of our wicked hearts. We are a nation that has completely lost our way. Completely lost our way. I don't for a second think that Trump is the be-all and end-all. He is a savior or anything like that. But I do believe that he is the recognition, he is the fruit of the recognition by the American people that they had lost their way and they needed to change. Australia needs to change. We have lost our way. We are a nation that is completely cloaked in a reprobate mind. We have embraced our desires, our lust-filled sin so much that we do not know how to think properly, how to think normally, how to think righteously. We are lost. And at the moment, I do not see any of our politicians leading us out of the filth and the degradation that we have gotten ourselves into. And this is going to come back to haunt Australia. This is my opinion. We need God. And we need to turn our back on the filth that we have embraced, on the LGBTQ confusion, and on the lie that it is a human right to kill the unborn. This is all my opinion. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me high.